welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada, and we're just going to do a solo game here of the 1914. We're going to have my Italian rule being played, which is Italy does not come in right away. They're not in the first round, and then on the second round they have to roll a 6. On the third round they have to roll a 5. On the fourth round they have to roll a 4 in order to be in the game. And then they're automatically in on round 4. So at the end of round 3, if they don't get in on those, they are in at the end of round 3. So America is also not the out of box. They are going to be in at the end of round 2. So beginning of round 3, they can move. And we will not be playing with the Russian Revolution rule. So we're going to see if that works. We're also going to help the Central Powers out a little bit. We're going to have a build limit of 5 in India, and we're going to allow the Germans to build up to 5 units in Munich, and we'll see how that goes. So, without any further ado, here comes Austria-Hungary. Alright, round 2 has begun, and when I say it has begun, I mean it's actually begun, because I forgot to start filming before I did Austria-Hungary's turn, got that rolling. So, here we go. This is the build, as we got a bunch of artillery, 1 infantry, of course, and a tank. Wrong! And saving $2. Now, you can see they've already moved into Sevastopol, Ukraine, and they took Serbia and Romania last turn. They took Romania with only the loss. I think they lost like three or 4 guys there. But Serbia, though, they only lost a couple. And Trieste is open, of course. And the Russians had to pull back from the inevitable Austro-Hungarian onslaught. And we'll likely have to either hit this stack and hope for the best, or pull back into Moscow. We're probably going to have to smash that once before we go. Germany, though, is definitely doing a kill Russia first. Everything they could, they sent this way. Even the stuff from Munich and Hanover is heading over. Fire everything! So, well, what's going on over on the Western Front? Well, all is quiet so far.
Yeah, a little too quiet.
No incursions into French territory. And the French were just given Belgium, which they obviously took with glee.
Yoink! Yoink!
And the Germans are sending scant resources to the Western Front. So they're likely going to lose some money here and might have to do a bit of a fighting withdrawal as they hope to lock up Moscow on turn 3. That is the goal, is to take Moscow on turn 3.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
Or make it so that Russia's so broke that they can't really fight, and then we can start sending stuff to the west. As you can see up here, German naval attack was extremely successful, only lost a cruiser and 2 subs, and wiped out the British fleet. So the French decided to kind of stay put behind the shelter of their mines, and they brought their med fleet up to here, but not all the way to 7, because then they could be attacked by the German fleet, and I'd like to have some protection there. In Africa, Germany does what Germany does, spreading out a little bit here, but the British had some excellent dice results and took out the British infantry and the artillery, and took over Angola. And of course, they're going to start nibbling away at the German holdings in Africa as time goes on. Up here, the British brought their guy over from Anglo-Egyptian Sudan and took here in Arabia. And, they've got their healthy contingent in Egypt. Over here, though, had some fun. The Russians, knowing that the Austro-Hungarians were going to crush everything Russia has, thought they might as well send a couple guys down here.
So he goes, why not? I go, why not? Pretty soon the whole group goes,
Why not?
So here we are.
So their Sevastopol garrison moved down to Mesopotamia and actually took it. So this is an actual Russian marker. But then the Ottoman came back and killed 3 of the 4 remaining Russian troops. The Russians gave a pretty good accounting though, so this is going to allow the British, of course, to move in next turn and tidy that up. So the Ottoman did not go up, even though they took Bulgaria and got all those free units, they did not go up in money because they had already lost Mesopotamia. So a little bit behind already. Speaking of being behind, the Italians didn't roll for their to get into the war, and they only get $7, and they cannot do things like liberate Albania. They can move guys around, but they can't increase their money.
You don't mean to tell me that you're living in poverty?
No, but I'm broke.
So, they get $7 until they're in the war. Per turn, that's it. So typically a man and artillery. I have played it where they got their full money and got in the war in round 3 or whatever, but since they were able to build so much unfettered and not with any chance of somebody coming after them, they just got too strong for Austria-Hungary, who was embroiled with the Russians. We'll see if this works out. If the Austro-Hungarians can hold here with a decent force, Russia might be gone on turn 3. But time will tell. There's still a lot of dice to roll, and the Germans don't have much in the way of forces compared to the Russians. Austria-Hungary together with Germany, they do. I think Austria-Hungary right now is almost equal with Russia, and with the Germans, they definitely are over. But since they can only attack one at a time, Russia still has a chance, and we'll see if France can start putting more pressure on here. That might keep more Germans at home.
I mean, their wine is made of the pee-pee of cows, and their women all have big beards.
We invade, darling, because they think we French are sissies. They call us weeds and whoopsies and big girls' blouses.
With respect, my emperor, we are whipsies. We invented the tapestry, the souffle, and the sweet liqueur. We will be slaughtered the minute we mince up the hill.
Do not despair.
Oh, bravo! The lovely uniform today, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I think it works.
But we'll see what we see there. We got some Canadians that came over, and we'll see if the Germans want to head over there and snipe them, but then they've got 2 French battleships and a French cruiser ready to smack them, and I'm not sure if they really want to do that either. But they might, because the German Navy in this game, as we know, is fairly, I won't say superfluous, but it is a little bit meaningless after round 1 if it succeeds. It does keep the British from building a bunch of transports, of course, but Germany, if they go to sacrifice it, then that's game over. So they've got to hold on to it. But yeah, it's one of those things in this game that a lot of people had trouble with. I kind of like it. It's the simplicity of it, but right now it's kind of that, I won't say a white elephant because you don't have to keep paying for it, but it's kind of like that to the Germans. So might head into 8 and kill that stuff because there are no minefields there. But then, like I say, the French are able to come in with 2 battleships and a cruiser. Yeah, might have enough to take them out. We'll see though. Round 2 coming up. We'll let you know how it goes. Watch these Austro-Hungarians run around. Okay, so just a little interjection here. The Russians decided to hit this stack here. Their plane shot down the Austro-Hungarian plane. And I don't know if you've watched my 1914 vids, but for some reason Austria-Hungary always has trouble in Russia. They'll bring in a monstrous stack and then bad things happen. So I'm just going to show you the first roll. There are 20 non-artilleried infantry. Okay? Here's the roll. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 misses. They got 15 hits on the first roll of unescorted artillery. So that's going to take out those 3 right there. Yeah, that's just crazy. So you start to feel a little sorry for Austria-Hungary.
They drew first blood, not me.
But yeah, I guess this kind of harkens true to what happened in the real world, but I don't know. I think Harlequin, that's the Canadian band that sang this song, is onto something. Maybe they played this game. Well, we'll let you know how the rest of turn 2 goes in just a minute. Okay, so that was my roll of 28 dice at 3 or less. And I actually messed up because I should be rolling at 4 or less for the artillery, because the Soviets won, or the Russians won the artillery battle. And they still, on 28 dice, only missed on 3. So Harlequin's on to something, I think. That wipes out the Austro-Hungarian army. Well, I just rolled the Austro-Hungarian roll, and this is it here. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I already threw that out, and the Russians still have that much left. Yeah, that's 21 infantry. And all the Austro-Hungarians go nighty-night. That is it for them. And they didn't really kill that many Russians on the way out the door. And now Germany essentially is by itself.
'Cause I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me.
But good thing it sent all this stuff over, because it's going to need it to try to subdue Russia by turn 3, which now does not look likely. Oh boy, the fortunes of war. Alright, well, let's see if Germany can help the Central Powers, because this is shaping up to be a very quick game. As we know what happened here, right? Austria-Hungary lost its entire expeditionary force. The British were able to snag Sevastopol. And although the Germans have moved up in force up top, they still won't be able to match what the Russians can bring. So, yeah, this is not shaping up to be a fun game for the Central Powers. Italy is also in the war here at the end of round 2, so still only built $7 worth of stuff and couldn't take anything because you don't roll till the end of the turn, but now they can certainly come in. And so, and the Austro-Hungarians likely don't have enough to take them out. Maybe with the aircraft they'll get some help, but that means that Germany's on her own over here, which is a fail. Up here, the French and those are Canadians, have pushed into the Western Front and are now occupying Alsace, and are now, unless the Germans can unseat the French, that's $6 in the Ruhr that is not going to be collected. So although they are collecting 7 over here, losing 6, that's not exactly what they want to do.
I don't feel right.
Plus, down here in Africa, they're kind of getting their butts handed to them. There's only 1 German infantry left. He did survive the French landing. 2 infantry landed, and he survived and killed one of them, but I think it's all over but the crying. And so German holdings will be disappearing fairly rapidly now as time goes on. Over here, the Ottomans are holding tough, but they're going to have to be careful. They were able to kick out the Brits, but the one Russian was the last guy left.
I don't envy you.
I thought I'd leave him there instead of a Brit. Not sure if it's going to be a game changer, I doubt it. But the British only being able to build 5 units, yeah, that won't scare the Ottoman quite as much. Now, there is an opportunity here. I don't think I'll do it, but there is an opportunity for the Russians to come here 1, 2, and then likely be able to take Constantinople in 3 turns, or come here and then threaten there. But then Russia will likely lose Moscow and be out of the game within a couple of rounds. So, not really sure what to do with them. We'll try to figure something out. Oh, by the way, the French did kill the German Navy, and yeah, there are mines there. I don't know why I didn't think there were mines in C-Zone 8.
Because I'm an idiot. Happy?
I always knew there were, but this guy here was covering the little naval port symbol there, so I just assumed there wasn't. But I thought there were mines all along the coast here, so the Germans would have trouble doing anything. The French went over and got Portugal this round, and are going to be using that stuff to put the hurt on somebody, someplace, not exactly sure. But if the Italians are likely going to come get Albania, yeah, not really sure where to send guys right now, because there's a lot of opportunities, but I want to make it as painful as I can on the Central Powers here. And so I think Russia does need to play a little bit of defense yet.
Defense wins championships.
But might still be able to snipe some Austro-Hungarian units or territory along the way. But Germany's got a good stack here. They've got, I'd say at least 60 units or so, 50 to 60 units coming in, and the Russians don't have near that many, so they'll have to play some defense. Because if Russia goes, if Berlin hasn't fallen, then it's just they start to march back, right? I don't know if Jimmy Buffett can help them out. But America will be in the war at the end of this round, and off we go. I think before I said round 2 they're in the end at the war, but I think that's a different game I was just playing, that the Americans come in on round 2. So we're going to follow the rules.
I've had it up to here with you, rebels!
And do round 3. I think in the original it was like round 4 or something. Not really sure, but you know how these games go. They get all the little changes. So in the comments below, tell me what you think the best change that you've seen for the out-of-box rules for this game would be. What's the one best change? You can write a couple if you want, but give me your best. What's the best one that you've seen of somebody's house rule, or something that even the creators of the game said, oh, we screwed that up, we're going to change things a little bit. Let me know in the comments. Could be about the Americans not being able to go take neutral territories, because in the original they could come over here and take that on round 1 or take that on round 1. You know, not that they could, they didn't have any transports, but you understand, right? Because of the wording, they could come over and drop some stuff off. They just couldn't fight. So now we know that they're stuck on their coast for the first 3 rounds. So anyway, yeah, just let me know in the comments below, and we're going to get on with round 3 right now. Alright, so Randy Bachman singing You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet here from Canada's own BTO, if you've ever heard of them. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, and Taking Care of Business, and all those great songs, yeah. Well, these guys here are hoping they ain't seen nothing yet. Some of them are hoping they have seen everything. So you can see that Russia pulled back in a desperate bid for self-preservation, but the Germans are going to be able to slam into that pretty hard this next turn. Now the Russians did save some money. They've got 23 bucks to spend, so they can still field, 5 infantry and a couple of artillery. And they got a fighter there, and the Germans have 1 fighter. So if the Russians get lucky...
Feeling all right?
I'm a little sad.
Well, if you're ever feeling lonely, you can always come up to my room and get lucky.
Lucky is the dog's name.
Oh!
They should be able to hold on for a few rounds. They did sneak out here, a little cheeky move, but Austria-Hungary or the Ottomans should be able to wrest control of that away. But Austria-Hungary definitely has to turn west. They definitely do, because the Italians have a decent stack here, but hey, look at the French. They actually went in, and they got 6 hits out of 9 units. They got 6 hits, so it's hard to beat hard dice. We can see that the Ruhr is still under some sort of a occupation, and the cheeky British landed right back here. Why not? In Kiel. Why not? And didn't lose any ships to mines. So, yeah, it's looking pretty bad here. Here looks pretty good for Germany, but if the home front falls, well, it doesn't really matter what you're doing overseas, or across the continent, as it were. Down here, Ottomans have been able to gain the semblance of order, and now have their pretty typical boundaries for the end of round 1, but here they are at the end of round 3, so they kind of wish they had a little bit more going for them, I think. The Italians, of course, in the game this round took Albania, got some money and now have, well, they're a little bit of a thorn in the side. And that's not really easy to take care of. You need 6 hits in one round. And problem with Austria-Hungary, they only got 1 infantry here. So whatever hits they get against them is going to be on artillery, so that can get costly. The Germans have been swept aside. There are no more Germans left down here, so all of this stuff will get gobbled up. We sent down a transport from India to pick up these guys who just collected Portuguese East Africa in the name of the Entente. And of course the Americans are in. They've bought their 4 artillery and 6 transports here on round 3, saving $8. So they've got $28 next round, and we'll be building a couple more transports and the loads to go with. Alright, well there we go. We are into the war, folks. Everybody's in, and so far it's looking really bad for the Central Powers. Usually by this time Paris is kind of feeling the heat. Just hasn't worked out that way though, and I think that disaster in Ukraine was the reason. So we'll have to check back in at the end of round 4, see if the Central Powers have been able to gain any sort of initiative. Alright, wish them luck. Well, Howard Jones is going to actually probably finish off the game here. This has been the strangest game of 1914 I have ever played, and as Howard Jones would say, no one is to blame.
We're all to blame.
I'm not.
Well, we'll start here in Moscow, where the Germans got completely ravaged. They only have 4 units left at the end of the German attack, and things started going badly. As you can see, there's a Russian fighter, but no German fighter, and from then on it went downhill. They got actually hit with their strafe, and yeah, it was pretty ugly. The Russian infantry just shredded them. Down here, I decided to do a spoiling attack against the Germans who were here, and it actually went pretty well. We lost a bunch of guys, as you can see. We had, I think I sent 20 men down there, plus that stack of artillery, and we lost 19 men, but it really took the teeth out of the Germans. And the men that you see there are part of a reinforcement that came from Poland. And there's just not enough there, and so they'll be able to oust the Germans here and then start cleaning up their territory. Down here, the Brits have certainly got a bit of a wall growing here in Mesopotamia. They're doing what they can, the Ottomans, but they're just losing territory. So they lost Mesopotamia. They had to come back and take the Syrian desert. The Brits had taken that. Transjordan is $1 they're probably never going to get back. Up here, the Italians booted out the Austro-Hungarians out of Albania and Trieste. Yes, there were 13 Austro-Hungarians there plus a plane, and you'll see there's an Italian plane. There was only one fight here where the Central Powers got a hit with their plane, but it was in the same turn that the Entente got a hit. So yeah, the Entente's just been shredding them with air power, and then they'll follow up artillery, and you can see all the artillery here. And so they wiped out all 13. They lost 5, I think, infantry, so.
I can't. This is too much.
Yeah.
It's good trade.
So they killed 13 units, and Austria-Hungary just put on like 9. So they're losing more than they're replenishing. The French are fully in Munich now, so these Austro-Hungarian troops can try to go forward, but there's a stack of 11 units in Venice. It's a small stack here. They could go and liberate Munich probably, but then they're way out of position because there's a good stack here in Trieste. And if they come at Trieste real hard, the Italians have a little bit to reinforce with, plus then the French, who aren't being bothered, probably go gobble up Bohemia and start causing more grief. No one's to blame though, right, Howard? Americans landed here and took Morocco, or Sahara, Western Sahara, or something. Spanish Morocco, that's what it is. Spanish Morocco, and they are going to land those 11 units over here somewhere. I was thinking actually landing them in Greece, and then putting the screws on Constantinople, because, yep, it's right there on the border, and then they definitely have to circle the wagons in the Ottoman Empire in order to survive. Well, you can just see how it's going here. The British were able to win Kiel outright as well. And the Ruhr, the Germans rolled okay, but the French just had more reinforcements coming in. And the Germans are unable to reinforce, so it's just not good. The British landed another 8 units here in Kiel and took Kiel. So yeah, they built 12 units here, but now there's, what is that, another 12 waiting for them there, and it's just going to shuttle back and forth, to say nothing of the constant stream of French men and materiel coming this way.
It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it out. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in. And then the barcode reader breaks, and it's publishes clearinghouse. All right.
So it's just not looking good for the Central Powers. I'll play one more round. Who knows? Maybe the dice will go really, really hot for them, but I think it's going to take more than that. I have a feeling the Germans will be out of Russia pretty much in a couple of rounds. Well, we'll play one more round. We'll see how it goes. Also in the comments below, let me know, what would you do in this situation as Central Powers? Would you just pack it in, or would you say, nah, we've got some ideas, we could get ourselves out of this mess? I look forward to hearing your comments. Alright, on to round, I think this is round 6 now. Oofta. That's right. Good time. Not a long time this time. So have a good time. Sun can't shine every day, and it certainly isn't shining for the Central Powers today. Well, let's just take a look at what's gone on here. The British have been able to grab Transjordan and Mesopotamia, and the cheeky Italians here, being the opportunists that they are, were able to scoop the Syrian desert. And the Turks, the Ottomans, are backed up into a corner here pretty badly. The Americans have landed in Greece, took a couple of hits doing it, but now that's a problem. And of course Russia has no natural enemies anymore. Everybody's gone, except for this lone crowd up here, which we'll see what he does. And Austro-Hungarians are down to 3 territories. The French scooped a couple up here. The Italians kicked them out. And Trieste got their butts kicked. I mean, it was just bad all around. And the Germans are spent. There's not much left for them. They lost Kiel outright now. And there's more stuff there than the Germans have on the board. And more Frenchmen coming. I didn't even put on the American build from the last 2 rounds. And I've got the British building tanks now. And even the Italians built a couple tanks. So when the Italians are building tanks, that's usually time to pack it up, boys and girls. So that's where the game is going to end. It's going to be an Allied victory, an Entente victory. And the Central Powers lose again. I'm going to go back to Ukraine. Now this is my heritage too. On my father's side is Ukrainian. So we have a lot of love for the country. And it sure was a key battle zone today on round 1. Wow, that was horrific. I think it was 1, maybe 2, but early on, really set the stage, set the tone, and it put Austria-Hungary on the defense right off the bat. All right, let me know what your favorite strategies are in the comments below. And yeah, this game here, a lot of fun to play. I've played a lot of solo games of this. I'd really like to get another shot at some live human beings, and if COVID restrictions continue to be lifted, then hopefully be able to get one of these in the next few months anyway. We know it takes a long time, it takes a good day to play usually. This game wouldn't have. So it'd be probably would have been over a turn earlier, I think. If I were the CP, I probably would have said, hey, let's just pack it up or reset it and try again. Because that certainly didn't take as long as normal. I think I've had a couple of these games go into the 24 round area This is not a marathon, though. This was a sprint. And congratulations to the Entente. And again, leave your comments below. Looking forward to it. And don't forget, 2023, we're going to be doing a tournament. We're going to be focusing on games from historical board gaming. One that I'm working, well, two that I'm working on right now, which will be released by then. And then we also have the Meltdown game that just came out. There's another couple that are coming out. 85 is coming out. Already is, pretty much. And the Global War 36, of course, version 4, which is a little sleeker, a little faster, and got some really neat things in that. So be ready for that, and I will continue to remind people of it. I've been contacting hotels and trying to book some deals and some nice conference rooms that we can set up a few tables in, so you don't have to worry about driving around town, and we'll have plenty of elbow room and lots of space to throw the dice, which the Central Powers certainly would have had they been there. Alright, you take care, folks. Remember, hug your loved ones. Thank your friends for playing. And as we always say, may those dice be with you.